Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Today, we will be discussing how to increase patient retention and 6 strategies you can use to maintain and grow your patient base. Before we do get started, I do want to let all of you know that we will be answering questions at the end of the presentation. So feel free to submit any questions in the chat or Q&A at any point throughout this presentation. Even if you can't make it until the very end, please submit your questions anyways, and we'll make sure that someone reaches out to you with an answer. So with that out of the way, let's get started. My name is Oliver Blanco, and I'll be today's speaker. I'm an experienced marketer here at RepuGen, which is a healthcare reputation management platform that assists healthcare providers in improving their online reviews, patient acquisition, retention, and engagement. On today's agenda, we'll share a 3-pillar philosophy approach to marketing in healthcare, why patient retention is critical to your success, and 6 tips to increase patient retention. And like I mentioned, we'll wrap everything up with a Q&A session at the very end, so please submit any questions that you may have. To start off, let's talk about this unique healthcare marketing approach about how practices grow and maintain a healthy, loyal patient base just by strengthening these 3 pillars. To start off, the first pillar is creating a loyal patient base by improving patient satisfaction. Creating a loyal patient base through a relentless focus on improving that patient satisfaction and just keeping patients happy. If patients are not satisfied, they will leave your practice, and all the effort you have implemented to acquire those patients will just be gone. Secondly, is acquire more patients through a stellar online reputation. From research, it's found that an overwhelming majority of patients at about 81% start their research for a healthcare provider by checking online reviews. And thirdly, is to boost your patient base through a robust online presence. Millions of monthly online searches suggest that roughly 66% of patients search the internet for providers for their medical needs. And basically, everything is connected. Building a better online presence results in more patients. Satisfied patients are more likely to stay with your practice and improve your online reputation. And so that's why you'll see that a lot of our patient retention strategies relate to patient experience, starting from a patient's online search to them appearing at your front desk and so on. So why should you focus on patient retention? Many practices typically focus on patient acquisition. And don't get me wrong, it's incredibly important to keep a steady influx of new patients. But many people forget about retaining your current patients. Healthcare isn't too different from other industries. If we are always focusing on getting new customers, but don't focus on the service that is provided, then the business would lose a lot of customers. So first off, retaining current patients is more cost-effective than acquiring new ones. Depending on the industry that you are in, acquiring a new patient can result up to 25 times more expensive than retaining an existing one. And it makes sense, right? You are putting in a lot of effort, time, and money into you getting new patients. However, if these patients are not satisfied after their visit and choose to go to another practice for their follow-up care, then all that time, effort, and money you just spent just disappears. This is especially true if you are acquiring patients at a high rate, as loyal patients may feel like their experience is no longer what it used to be and may choose another provider. New patients are important, but so is retaining your current ones. We also see that an increase in patient retention results in as much as a 95% increase in profits. So happy patients will just keep coming back and refer you to their friends and families. And that's also just new patients for practically free. But acquisition costs aside, you'll also want to consider the state of healthcare right now. Patients are more demanding than ever. According to a 2020 Deloitte study, consumers are becoming increasingly active and engaged in their healthcare. They want doctors and providers who listen and have clear and effective communication. With more options at their fingertips, they don't just have to pick the local neighborhood doctor. If they are unsatisfied, they'll more than likely go somewhere else. And that's why it's extremely important that you ensure each new patient stays with your practice. So with that in mind, let's go over 6 different ways you can use to increase patient retention. Starting off, talk about delivering excellent care and a great patient experience. Whether they are a new patient or a returning one, every interaction a patient has with your staff and providers count. Many people think that by delivering great care, that will be enough. But every experience is important, even the ones between your front desk and the patient. So, you should train your staff to properly communicate with patients. This means greeting patients that come through your doors, properly handling phone calls, and being compassionate and as caring as possible. We often find that many patients leave negative feedback that is due to long wait times or how phone calls are being handled. Poor experiences with your front desk and management will just drive away the most loyal patients, even if the provider's care is top notch. So you'll want to set up a game plan with your staff so that everyone is on the same page about how to effectively communicate with patients. And likewise, you'll just want to make sure your doctors are also helping patients with understanding all of options available for them, for their healthcare needs, answering any questions that come up, and just offering top-notch patient care. Remember, the patient experience starts from the initial phone call a practice receives from that patient to the intake process, and then the actual interaction with your team. So you'll want to make sure that every encounter your team has with patients meets their expectations. Another way to increase patient retention is to create a process to get patient feedback so you can hear what your patients have to say about their appointments so that you can make improvements in your patient care based on that feedback. Additionally, acquiring patient feedback will help you find the patients that are unhappy, thus giving you the opportunity to reach out to them, to listen, rectify the situation, and hopefully retain them at your practice. We recommend sending a text or an email survey right after your patients check out of their appointment or sometime that same day. Sending out the survey a few days or maybe even 1 week later after their appointment will just reduce the chances that a patient fills out that survey. In addition to that, patients are less likely to remember what their experience was like at that point. So it's just best practice to get your patient feedback while it's still fresh in their mind. And to get patient feedback, we suggest utilizing NPS, which is also known as Net Promoter Score. NPS is a way that allows you to measure your patient's experience by asking them a question like, on a scale from 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this practice or healthcare provider to a friend or family member? This simple one-question survey has produced high conversion rates while also allowing the ability to identify the promoters a practice has or patients that are very satisfied and more likely to refer you to others. They can help you identify passives or patients that were satisfied but won't mind going somewhere else. And they'll even help you identify the detractors or patients that will not recommend your practice at all and even share their negative experiences with others. And just so you can see what it would look like, here's an example of how we get patient feedback at RepuGen. As you can see on the screen, our surveys ask patients that simple question, how likely is it that you would recommend us to a friend or family member? We also use that 0 through 10 scale and send this out via text first and then via email as a follow-up if they don't answer that text or they don't have a phone number. And once they select their score, the patient will be asked to leave any additional feedback that they have. Likewise, with a survey like this, you will be able to effectively track the patients that are promoters, passives, and detractors. And what's especially useful is that with detractors, you will get immediately notified of the patients that rate negatively so that you can address it immediately with the patient. And by just reaching out to that unhappy patient, listening to their negative experience, and even potentially providing solutions, you drastically increase your chances of retaining that patient. So whether you use RepuGen or some other kind of patient outreach tool, creating a process for your team to collect patient feedback will be extremely beneficial in increasing patient retention. Moving on, tip number 3 to improve patient retention is by offering helpful and educational healthcare practices to patients outside of their appointments. This is a great way to show that you are a patient-centric practice and that you truly care about your patients. Like I mentioned earlier, patients are now more involved with their care and are always seeking information about possible diagnosis and how to improve their health. People always want to know what they can do to better improve their lifestyle habits. So sharing helpful information and healthcare tips gives your patients what they want, shows that you are a thought leader in the industry, and helps keep you at the top of your patients' minds, thus making it more likely for patients to keep choosing you for their next appointment. To educate your patients, we suggest writing blogs to share in-depth information. Your blogs can be about some healthcare tips, such as how to protect yourself from the seasonal flu, how to lower blood pressure, or maybe about a topic that is more specific to your healthcare specialty. But just by providing information and helpful blogs, you show the public that you are truly passionate about what you do and you are patient-centric. Additionally, you can also use social media such as Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter to share quick tips, healthcare news, or even bring awareness to certain healthcare issues. Posting on social media helps build a community and engages with your patients while also providing a way for patients to share tips and posts with their friends and family members. Thirdly, newsletters are another great way to engage patients and keep your practice at the top of their mind. Basically, it's a valuable tool for keeping your patients up to date on the latest things happening at your practice and providing them with important health information. So, when creating your newsletter, there are a few key elements to consider, including to ensure that it is both informative and engaging. First, be sure to include the latest photos of what is going on at your practice so that your patients can see how your amazing practice actually looks like. Next, you'll want to mention any new blogs you have written. This results in just driving more patients to your website and, again, engaging your readers with your expertise. Thirdly, include reminders for any routine appointments. By sending reminders in your newsletter, you can help patients stay on top of their health and catch any potential problems early on. And lastly, be sure to include health tips or recommendations for your patients. This will help educate your patients on what they can do to improve their health. Moving on, the next tip to improve patient retention is just to create an easy way for patients to schedule their appointments. As mentioned, every encounter with a patient is important to increasing your retention rates, and that includes how patients schedule their appointments. This starts with allowing patients to request appointments at their convenience, which you definitely need if you see a high patient volume and your phone is ringing all day. As a patient, it's frustrating to call and have no one be able to pick up the phone, or maybe if you are put on hold for a very long time. So to address this, you can utilize your website to make it easy for patients to request appointments. And from there, your team can reach out to those patients to confirm that appointment. Online patient intake options are also a great way to ensure patients fill out the necessary paperwork and helps your admin team do less admin work. This gives your staff time to actually address and interact with patients that are physically in the office, thus improving the patient experience and increasing the chances to retain more patients. The fifth tip is to retain patients is by actually making sure that they show up. Sending appointment reminders gives them the opportunity to confirm, cancel, or even reschedule their appointments. Patients want to have more control of their healthcare, and that includes having flexibility with their appointments. So in general, we recommend sending 3 appointment reminders to your patients to remind them about their upcoming appointment. And that time frame would be 1 week before the appointment, 3 days before the appointment, and finally, 1 day prior to that appointment. The last tip is just that you will want to make sure that your patients are on top of their healthcare by reaching out to them about their preventative or overdue visits. Additionally, you'll want to explain and provide reasons as to why your patients need to come in for their visit. One of the best ways to make sure patients get in for their routine visits is to schedule it right in the office. For example, if you are a dermatologist and a patient needs to return in 3 months to check on their health, you should have that patient schedule when they check out at the end of their appointment. But if that's not possible to schedule their next visit while you have them in the office, then you should make sure you follow up with your patients after they leave that office, whether it's through physical mail, phone calls, or emails. In the end, patients want control of their healthcare, but also want a doctor and a healthcare practice that truly cares about them. So by consistently reminding your patients to come in for their next visit and keeping their health as a priority, patients will be more likely to return to you for their next appointment. And that's everything that I wanted to go over in today's webinar about increasing your patient retention. As a summary, here are the key points that you can take away from this webinar. Number one is treating every interaction with your healthcare organization and your patients as important, whether it's between the patient and your staff, doctor, or how your patient schedules an online appointment on your website. Number two is improve your patient's experience by monitoring their satisfaction. Again, by learning about your patient's feedback of their appointment, you can identify the patients that are most likely to refer you to their friends or family members, or you can identify the patients that were unhappy with their experience so that you can reach out to them, figure out what went wrong, and retain them. Thirdly, is to continue educating your patients after their visits so that patients learn more about their health and what they can do to stay healthy. Number four is to simplify the online scheduling and intake process for patients so that they can make an appointment and all follow-up appointments whenever they'd like to. Number five is to send appointment reminders to patients about their upcoming appointments and allow them to confirm, schedule, reschedule, or cancel their appointments. And then lastly is just to make sure that your patients are on top of their health by reminding them of the most important preventative or overdue appointments that they have. So by implementing these key tips into your team's workflow, you'll begin to see that more patients continue choosing you for their healthcare needs. And just to wrap up and tell you a little bit about ourselves, RepuGen is an all-inclusive reputation management platform that will help you get more online reviews, recover more unhappy patients, and build an overall healthy online reputation. We also offer add-on services to assist with patient engagement, leveraging your online reputation with marketing solutions, and monitoring and improving patient satisfaction, and a lot more. Lastly, I do want to let you know that we currently have a promotion going on that offers a 90-day money-back guarantee. This means that if you do sign up for RepuGen's solutions and your online reputation is not improved within 90 days, you'll be entitled to a full refund of monthly fees. So if you want to take advantage of this promotion or just learn more, feel free to email us at info@repugen.com or contact us or visit us through our website at www.repugen.com. But now that everything has been covered, I'll open it up to some Q&A. All right, so we did just get one question so far. The person had asked, if I want to send a newsletter to my patients, how often should I send it? And that's a great question. If you'd like to start sending email newsletters to your patients and educate them about what's going on, it's generally recommended to send at least one newsletter a month as this is a great way to keep you at the top of your patient's mind. But you don't want to send more than 2 newsletters a week, as you just don't want to bombard your patients with too many emails. All right, we got another question. This person asked, what if patients still don't show up for their appointments even after I follow your recommended appointment reminder schedule? And that's another great question. If you find that our recommended appointment reminder schedule just doesn't work for you, then I suggest testing out some different times to send those reminders. So for example, in your case, you might find that patients respond to appointment reminders on the day of their appointment rather than the day before. Or maybe your patients respond to appointment reminders 3 days before their appointment. Whatever the case might be, we still strongly recommend sending appointment reminders to at least show your patients that you care about them. All right, and then we did get another question. This person asked, why did you say that the NPS survey sees higher response rates? And good question. So in general, there's a lot of feedback surveys out there that ask customers multiple questions, like how friendly the staff was, how clean their restrooms were, or any other general questions. With an NPS survey approach, you ask your patients that simple question: how likely is it that you would recommend the service to a friend or family member? And then just asking them to rate their experience. And since it's only a 1-question survey, patients will think that it won't take too much time for them to respond to that survey, thus just making it more likely that patients are likely to fill it out. All right, we've got another question. This person said, what about blogs? How often should I write blogs for my patients to read? I would say this depends on your bandwidth. So in general, the more that you post, the better you get, or the better it is as you get more exposure just by posting blogs. However, you don't want your general patient care or any other business activities that you have going on to just drop in quality. So I would suggest to try posting at least once a month. And then from there, if you find that you can post more, you can try posting once a week or whatever other timeline works best for you. All right, and then we got another question. This person asked, you talked about NPS and how people should reach out to those that rate negatively to the NPS surveys to figure out what happened. But what about the other side? What should I do with the promoters? And fantastic question. So for promoters, we suggest asking them to leave an online review. Since promoters, or again, those that rate positively to your feedback surveys, are more likely to speak positively about their experience, you can direct them to leave an online review on, say, Google, Healthgrades, Facebook, Vitals, or any other review site platform. This will be extremely helpful in you just attracting more prospective patients to your practice and even showing your current patients that they should continue using you for their healthcare needs. I'll give it another minute to see if any other questions come in. All right, so that does seem like it's all the questions. So just thank you everyone for attending today's webinar again. And if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at info@repugen.com. Visit our website, www.repugen.com, or just feel free to contact us via phone as well if you do have any other questions, and we'll be sure to get your questions answered. Thank you again, and hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.